AJ Utman as our special guest here today because he's our expert when it comes to the facilities app. So AJ really has kind of become our key management expert in this arena, and he'll be showcasing how you can manage physical keys with our newest module, the facilities app. So AJ, I'll let you take it from here.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sean. As Sean mentioned, I am an account manager at WebCheckout. If you come on board with WebCheckout, likely I might be one of the friendly faces who's helping you. Before WebCheckout, fun fact, I did live in Micronesia for a year, and I also used to teach wilderness survival. So I used to teach people how to build a shelter in the wild, and now I'm teaching you how to use keys that could open that shelter. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. So as Sean mentioned, the Facilities app manages physical keys that open doors and equipment locks that, of course, those keys can open. Now, with the Facilities app, you can manage key-specific information, such as key hook, key cut, key way, key sequence, and location information. You can also assign and check out keys to patrons using the Facilities app. And most importantly, as we understand this information is highly sensitive, all key-related information is only accessible from the Facilities app, and operators must be granted the Manage Keys capability to access this app and key information. Using the Facilities app also requires its own dedicated checkout center. We call this a key center. And only one key center is allowed per organization. Now, we also understand that those who manage keys may not have the need to log into the admin side of WebCheckout. So all the functions and information needed to manage the keys are within this application. All right, during today's webinar, we're going to review terminology and navigation, lock locations and lock types. We'll view key assignments, assign or check out a key, replace a key, and finally, we'll open the room up for Q&A. Now, let's begin with a few facilities key terms that we'll be going over today. Location. This represents every building and room on a campus map. Facilities locations are different from circulating resources of a meta-class location in WebCheckout. Key hook, or hook for short, is a record that represents the collection of keys that are all cut the same way and associated with locations or equipment locks. These are similar to, if you're familiar with WebCheckout, a resource type or a category of items. And key is a single serialized resource that unlocks a location or a piece of equipment. Next, we have key cut. This is seen from the horizontal profile of a key. It's defined by the peaks and valleys cut into a blank key that activate a lock's tumblers. Key way can be seen from the vertical profile of a key, typically unique per lock manufacturer. For example, a Baldwin key will not fit a quick-set lock. All right, great. Well, now that we've gone over a few key definitions, I'm going to navigate into WebCheckout. All right, so for those that are familiar with WebCheckout, they'll notice our home screen, okay, which I've navigated to right now. In the top right-hand corner, we have our apps menu. And from the apps menu, I can go down and select facilities. But as mentioned before, you don't have to have access to standard WebCheckout. You could just be using the Facilities app. So I can go directly there and go to my home screen. Okay. Now, from the home screen of the Facilities app, you have menus related to your key center that allow you to create hooks, keys, locations, and then circulate these resources. Now, all of these icons are duplicated in our hamburger menu. Now, as you can see, these icons correspond to their terms, and they will remain on every single page throughout this application, so you can easily navigate throughout all of the parts of the Facilities app. Additionally, you can always hit the home button to return to this front screen. All right, now to get started today, we are going to look at our locations. I'm going to hit find. So now I'm looking through a list of physical locations that our keys can open. I'm going to hop into my Curtis building. And from here, by hitting the three little dots in the top right-hand corner, I can create a new sublocation. I can assign a person to this location, meaning I'm saying they have access and should be given a key to the location. I can also add an assignment hook or a collection of keys that will open this location. As I can see, there's already a hook that's been assigned, and I'm going to click on it. It's CB100. All right. All right, and from this hook detail screen, I can see multiple keys that have already been cut for it. Additionally, if I click on the three dots, I can edit this hook, rekey it, or add more keys. I'm going to select the edit icon. And now you can see that I can change its name. I can change what its master hook is. I can also change its lock type. Presently, it's listed as cylindrical, but as you can see, depending on your lock type needs, or essentially the type of locks that are on your doors, you can change that information here to give your operators more information about the type of hook this is. Okay. All right. Great. Well, now that we've gone over our terms as well as some basic navigation of the Facilities app, we're going to go into how to actually circulate keys while using the application. So I'm going to click in the top left-hand WebCheckout Facilities icon to return to the front screen. All right, great. Now we're going to start by going under our pending hook reservations. All of the information you'll see in the Facilities app, you can either create manually or you can create it via import. Now, using our location assignment import will tell WebCheckout, or more specifically, will tell WebCheckout's Facilities app who has access to various locations and essentially who needs keys to those locations. So from the front screen on the People tab, if you'll notice this yellow 2, that is highlighting to me, the operator, that there are 2 people that need keys. I'll select the People icon and hit Find. And with the status bar that says Pending Hook Reservations, 2 people populate that are waiting to get their keys. I'm going to envision that Luke Danes comes in. I'll select Luke Danes. And now I need to hit a sequence ID of a key. All right, I'll hit Assign. We're going to hit that again. Wrong one. It's in the sequence and hit Assign. And with the green banner, it confirms that the key has been assigned to Luke Danes. All right, let's go back to our front screen. So that's how you can manage when people have already assigned locations. So you've run an import and you've told WebCheckout, this is the list of people that I want to have locations. But let's imagine that someone has come in last minute. They weren't on your import. And for this example, I'm envisioning that Jessie Spano has come in and she is expecting to be let into her dorm room today, but she was late on registration and she needs a last minute key. So I'm now going to show you how to do this process manually of giving her a key. Okay. All right. So to best understand the types of assignments and checkouts, I'm going to go back to my presentation. And there are 2 types of key issuance. Checkout or reservation types are keys that must be picked up and returned on a specific date. A good example is students picking up dorm keys and returning them at the end of the year. These keys are circulating. Assignment types are keys that are designated to a patron for an extended period of time or there may or may not be an expected return date. A good example is staff and faculty who have their keys as long as they are employed. Assigned keys must be non-circulating. All right, so I'll navigate back to my facilities app. And I'm going to go to my outgoing keys icon. And from here, I'm going to type in Jesse's name, select Jesse from the list. All right, now if I click on type, I have a few options here. Now, as mentioned earlier, a reservation it designates that a key is ready to be picked up immediately or at a future date. Checkout designates that the key is already picked up. As the slide mentioned, both relate to circulating resources, whereas assignment is for non-circulating keys that are assigned to a person. Okay. Pickup designates that these non-circulating resources have already been given. Now I'm going to select reservation. All right. And now I must enter an exact hook and sequence number. Please note, due to security reasons, these values will not auto-populate. They must be exact. Okay. All right, so I'm going to insert my hook number, CV100, and my sequence number, or the sequence of the key, CV100-01C. I'm also going to verify my return date. I've updated my settings to be at the end of the term or end of the calendar year. And that way I don't have to set this every time because I know that many students are transferring at the end of the term. Okay. Now, of course, I can change this date, but I'm happy with it. I'm going to leave it at December 31st. I'll hit add. Edited this key, and I think that's the issue. There we go. Yep, so that's a great example of you must have an exact sequence. So of course, I've been editing these a few times and I entered the wrong one. No problem, as long as you have that exact sequence, and you'll want to check that the green banner confirms that it went through. All right, so now Jesse has a reservation out for this key. Let's imagine that Jesse comes into the office. I can hit select and hit pick up. I'll see the green banners confirming that Jesse has picked up this reservation. Now I can verify that Jesse has these keys from the facilities app. If I go back to my people menu and change my status to has keys, I'll hit find and notice that Jesse has the key there. Additionally, if you are an operator that uses this as well as our standard web checkout application, I can search for people by hitting people and then placing Jesse's name in the quick snap and select her resources tab and notice that she does have a key assigned, but of course noting that it will not give any secure information such as key cut or keyway. All right, it just designates that she does have a key out. We'll go back to our facilities app. Now let's envision that it's mid-year and Jesse lost her key. So for security purposes, we're going to need to recut that whole hook to ensure that no one has access to her dorm room. Okay. All right, so to do this, I'm going to go back to my hook icon. All right. And I'm going to search for my hook. Right, and I'll select the hook. Great. All right. Great. So now I'm going to select the 3 dots in the top right-hand corner, and I'm going to hit rekey hook. It's going to ask for a new key cut. Right, so I'll enter that now. Great, and I'm gonna ensure that the date is here. And for the out of service date, I'm gonna move this to the end of next year because we at our school have a policy of recutting everything at the end of the school year. I'll hit continue. All right, now notice if I scroll down, those old keys all change to obsolete. All right. Now I'm going to need to recut a new key because we've told WebCheckout that the old key is now obsolete. So I'm going to select the three dots and going to hit add key. All right. And I'm going to enter 100, 01D. So I'm ordering this alphabetically. And I'll just put in a unique name to cue my operators to give this to Jesse. All right, and I'll hit continue. Perfect. And now you'll notice that this status is listed as available. I can click on it and go to the key detail screen. I'll go back to my hook. Notice it's available, whereas the old keys have all changed to obsolete. All right, great. We're going to navigate back to our outgoing keys pane. And we're going to envision Jesse has come in to pick up the new key cut. All right, so we're going to type in Jesse's name into our outgoing pane. All right, now, please note that you will need to return the old key. Now, of course, this key is missing, so it's no longer, she can't physically give it to us, but we're telling the system that we acknowledge that we know something happened to this key, so we're returning it. Okay, and I see the green banner confirming the return. Well, Jessie is in my office right now, so I'm going to leave this at checkout, okay, because she's not reserving it for future date. I'm going to enter my information. I'm adding in my hook number and the sequence of the key I just made. And I'll hit add. And the green banner confirms that the checkout has been made. Well, let's also envision in this scenario that we flash forward a few months. It's nearing the end of December, and Jessie has come into the office to return her key. I'll go down to this last icon in the hamburger menu to my incoming keys. And from here, I can type in the hook and sequence number. Right. Hit return, and notice the green banner confirms that Jessie has returned her key and is saved just in time by the bell. All right, now that concludes a basic overview of how to create locations, hooks, keys, and general circulation. Right. We'll go to our final page. Now, for any non-customers, if you are considering using WebCheckout, you can learn more about the Facilities app by contacting sales@webcheckout.net. For current customers who are using WebCheckout, you can learn more about this application by going to our documentation site, or you can email support@webcheckout.net to learn how you can add this center to your current instance or to any new department. All right, at this time, we do want to open the floor for any questions.
And keep in mind, everybody, questions, feel free to put them into chat. And in the meantime, AJ, just think about a couple of the questions that we have been hearing from people recently. One of them is like, with the managed keys capability, what can operators see that standard operators can't see?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it might help answer. I saw Utai's question in chat. So yeah, I'm just going to go back into facilities to give some examples of this. So to best answer that question, so if I go to, whoops, let me just go back to my hook. All right, so in this hook, here's the key I just made, CB100 01D, and I'm going to hit edit key just so we can see these better. So Sean, to answer your question, the reason I went over key cut and keyway at the beginning of the seminar is that is information that will allow you to recut a key. And so that's very sensitive information, and that information will not pass to standard web checkout, right? Unless operators have the managed keys capabilities, they're not going to see that. So for you, Ty, to best answer your question in terms of what is required, when you're creating a hook, you're going to need that key cut and that key weigh, okay? Because that's going to tell you how to cut all the keys on it. In this example, under my key, you're going to need a sequence ID, but the rest is optional. So if I want to add an additional unique identifier, I can. Okay. And Utai, was there any specific, let's see, our college does not get access to key information. Okay. University keeps that information contained in the key shop. Awesome. So then Utai, in that example, my recommendation is if you get a key center, to have the admins at the key shop be the only people that have access to the facilities app.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks. Yeah, unfortunately, the university, Penn State doesn't operate in that way, and I doubt they will give us that information. Because it's usually the way it's processed is the key shop. When we order the key or keys, we send in the order saying this door, and they will go and create that. And when we get it, it's just, there's I think the sequence, is the serial number of the key, but then it will say the room number, building, and the room number, and that's all we get. So if we were to manage it individually outside of the university being involved as a whole, how could we do that? I guess we could make up our own key cut and weigh.
Yeah, so that's a great question. I'm just pulling up kind of an example. So I'm going back to my hook. Based on what you just told me, I think what would probably be the best workflow. So for your key center or your key shop, if they create all of the hook information. So on your hook is where you tell WebCheckout, this is the key cut, this is the key weigh. And so essentially they would create that. They could create that via an import file. Of course, they could also create it manually. But if they have that list, and then they also would add the keys to it. So if they've created this hook, right? And we can edit it and update it. But if they're going to add a key, so they add the sequence number. So then essentially they would be building out that list. Now, if they use our location assignment import, if you noticed at the beginning of the seminar, how beside people, there was a little number. Basically what they could do is if they just load in that import file, your team could see, okay, these are the people that need keys. And then you have the keys in your hand that have the sequence number. Did that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Absolutely. So essentially my recommendation is they set up all of the information that's in the application, but then your team is the ones that just see, okay, this is the people that need the keys and are physically handing them out. Great question.
Since we have a little more time, one other question we typically see, is seeing what patrons are assigned locations automatically included in the application, or do we have to manually upload this, or do clients have to manually upload that information?
That's a great question. So that's related to what Utai was asking about. So if we remember at the beginning of the presentation, that little number 2, that's gone away because we've assigned those keys. To generate that, so to get that little number that says, these are the people that have assigned locations, you need to hand them a key. That can either be done through an import file. So for example, Utai's key shop, they could on their spreadsheet just load manually every day that list of assigned locations through our import data app. The other option is you can reach out to our sales team to talk about integrating that. So if you have a system such as Adirondack that you just want to pull information and have that that information update automatically, you can talk to our sales team and we can see if we could add that customization to your instance.
All right. Well, no, I tell you what, that's pretty much the end of our time. I appreciate you all joining our latest web checkout webinar. As a quick reminder, have recorded everything. We're going to be sending out the recording probably this morning or a little later this afternoon via email. If you are interested in learning more about the Facilities app, you're always welcome to reach out to AJ or I. If you already know us, you can reach out to us directly. Or you could email us at sales@webcheckout.net. Again, that's sales@webcheckout.net. Otherwise, we wish you the best rest of the week. And thank you for joining again.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.